Most of us, right, are unconscious. What do I mean by that? That might sound crazy, but think about it, right? I was listening to a podcast that was explaining the fact that, you know, like we would call a spade when it comes to drug dealers or people that are hooked on drugs and, selling them and things like that, that they're on a bad path. They're doing something that's not good for the environment, that's not good for people, things like that. But when it comes to kind of these mega corporations that, maybe indulging in kind of mass, how did I say, mass programming and mass pollution, mass poisoning, we tend to look the other way. And he was kind of highlighting that. Why do we do that? Why is that, right? And then I started thinking to myself, that's interesting. And then he mentioned that the fact is we won't see that as something bad. We won't see that as something we can do something about. We don't see that as something we can kind of get rid of or we can hold accountable. And then I started thinking to myself, do I actually think that us as a population, us as a species, as humans, can hold, these recent people that have come out doing these atrocities? Do I think we can actually hold them accountable? Like, think about that for a sec, right? And I'm gonna tie this all together because when you think about that, then you realize that you've had this dormant underlying belief that we can't actually hold them accountable, right? They can almost kind of do what they want. And it's like he started to explain that was through programming, right? We've been unconsciously taught to just follow the authority. So when it comes to the bigger world, the real world, we're still doing that. We're still following the authority, right? That's why they can do all these things. And we can get angry, but the anger doesn't really shift. It doesn't really move anything, right? We still kind of submit to whatever they got going on. And it's like we almost even look the other way from time to time. And it's just a crazy realization.